dwarves. They're rallying.
They're rallying to their king.
Hello and welcome to the Total War Warhammer, friends. Grab your favorite drink, kick back and relax because we have a very special narrative-driven campaign series to kickstart today. This is a special campaign just because I want to dedicate it to a dear friend in the community, Kavi8771. Thank you so much for recommending this to me, and also, this one is dedicated to all of the dwarf players in the community too. Now, housekeeping things aside, I know a lot of you have been really enjoying my narrative-driven Musalon campaign, which is essentially a combination of vampire counts and Bretonnian knights in a faction. It's arguably been one of my personal favorites to showcase, but with the recent 4.1 updates, admittedly, those did crash my game, unfortunately. I may consider using a different mod manager than the one that is provided by Steam, but we're going to set that aside for now. In fact, we can just say that we had a short campaign victory because we took out King Luon with the Malabode and established control over Northern Bretonnia, and most of the other Bretonnian lords were either friendly with us or became our vassals. So I would say that campaign was a win. We may return to it at a later date in the future though, but for now, I do want to focus on narrative-driven campaigns in the old world. We are only playing with a couple of mods due to the fact that several mod authors are in the process of updating their mods for 4.1 updates. The main mods that we will be using is Trade Any Settlement, which I know sounds a little cheaty, but at the same time, I do like having that option of being able to have extra diplomacy with other nations. And also, we have the No Confederation penalty mod too, which also I know sounds very cheaty, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily make sense in my personal opinion for dwarf clans to get angry with us for confederating under King Belegar himself. It's just for personal roleplay headcanon purposes, but also, as I've said in my previous videos, if you want, the mods are optional for you to play, but if you don't want to add them for your personal campaigns, that's totally respectable as well. But let's get into the campaign details. So we'll be using the normal campaign modifiers, hard campaign difficulty, and normal battle difficulty. I don't really like the harder campaign or harder battle difficulties just because of the fact that, in my personal opinion, I don't really like artificial difficulty where the AI gets cheats themselves, but also just having a more incentive to actually use melee troops without having the fear that they're losing out to weaker units. For the endgame crises, I will be taking out a Grudge Too Far, the Wild Hunt, but I think we'll leave everything else as well, just because of the fact that I do kind of want endgame scenarios to be more so against typical dwarven enemies. I guess you could also say Wood Elves can be enemies of the dwarves themselves too, but at the same time, they are technically on the Order Tide / good guys side. But let's also take a look at Belegar's main campaign effects too. We do have a plus 50% upkeep until Karak 8 Peaks is captured, so we're going to have to try to bomb rush or really race our way to make sure that 8 Peaks is ours. We will be going up against both Queek Headtaker from the Skaven and also Skarsnik from the Greenskins too, so it's definitely going to feel like a more three-way war. And taking a look at the map too, we can see that the old world was expanded vastly by Chaos Robbie. From what I remember too, a lot of players in the community have been saying this is essentially the Warhammer 1 map, but just with way more added details too. There's also going to be a little bit more of a strategy since things are vastly more spread out, so we can't just go from settlement to settlement, essentially island hopping. But one good thing that we got going for us is we have the clan and ancestor heroes, which I will be trying to use very much in the early stages of the campaign, due to the fact that I want to level them up fast. Plus, also, I don't want to have too much damage to my remaining, to whatever army I have starting out too. We also will get a unique building chain after capturing Karak 8 Peaks, leadership +10 when laying siege or encircling the enemy, and also Vanguard deployment during underway battles. So give us more of an incentive to actually have battles within the underway. Plus also, since we do have to worry a little bit about the Skaven with their ranged army, missile block chance +20%, Mighty Oathstone, which gives us a +24 melee defense. This is going to definitely be useful against the greenskins too. And also, speaking of greenskins and Skaven, we do get a +10 leadership when fighting against them, and also ogres as well. But without further ado, let's jump into the campaign and get a head start in the race to Karak 8 Peaks. So right off the bat, we are at war with an ogre tribe, but I do have a plan on minimizing the casualties of our armies here. I do plan on using our ancestor heroes and also Belegar to engage most of the enemy, with most of our rangers dishing out damage on their ogres first. If need be, I'll send my dwarf warriors to take out their nobblers. Their nobblers shouldn't do any damage to us whatsoever, hopefully. But that's the plan here. I do want Belegar to engage the leader, our ancestor heroes to engage their ogres slash most of their army, while we hold back the majority of our troops, and also using our rangers to rain fire first on the priority targets of the ogres, and then the nobblers themselves too. I do want to use a bit of micromanaging here, mainly because I do want to save up the majority of my army to capture their settlement of Valaya's Shadow. But let's see how this goes. Taking a look at our battle formation here, we are doing somewhat of a turtle formation, opening up our center, making sure that our rangers have a clear line of sight, but also making sure they're also protected on the right flank. Miners and dwarf warriors flanking on even sides, and also reserving an extra set of dwarf warriors and hammerers in the back too. Like I said before, the whole goal of this is to make sure the majority of our of the damage incoming to us is tanked by our ancestor heroes here, which we will be using Throny and Halkenhoff to tire out these two ogre units here. Rangers will be supporting them in the back, opening fire on this set of ogre bulls, and later on the next set, and we're sending Thoric and also another ancestor hero to duel the army leader here, Goth. Draymar is unfortunately getting caught in a little bit of a melee situation here with some ogre bulls, but like I said before too, the whole point is to just stall them, tire them out. Rangers making a massive amount of damage on these two sets of ogres here, both of them clumping up, making a huge mistake of being massive targets, and making things easier for our rangers to hunt them down. Hakenhalf and Throny only taking minimal damage here. Draymar not being a frontline dealer, taking a little bit of damage himself, but also dishing out a decent amounts of damage on these ogre bulls here. Going over to Thoric and King Lun, doing decent damage and work against Goth. Nobblers not doing much of an impact either, and actually getting in the way of their own commander. It says the unit is losing, but also with Belegar, he's essentially winning here. Both of them out healthing and out damaging their leader. All the while, their own leader is damaging the Noblars themselves. Half and his buddy here have decimated, well, not themselves alone, but also with the help of the Rangers, decimated these two groups of ogres. Very good trade-off here. Now we're focusing on the dual weapons. Dramor surviving that whole ordeal and also buying us time to open fire on their bulls. Now all that's left are the Noblars themselves, their leader, which is about to break and lose plenty of health there too. Belegar, King Lun, going in for the kill. Who is going to land the killing blow though? Will it be the Ancestor hero or the current ruler of the dwarves themselves? My bet is on Belegar, or possibly the Rangers. Nope, it is Belegar, and with that, a resounding first victory. No damage to our main army, but our heroes taking a bit of a beating themselves. Absolutely wrecking house there with our very first battle. Minimal damage and casualties as well. Our Ancestor heroes did take quite a beating there, but it was well worth the trade to save up some of our army and also to gain a beating on all of their ogre forces there. Because we're running low on cash at the moment, I do want to micromanage and grab a treasury there. Their army is decimated. And we have enough movement to assault Valaya Shadow. To assault Valaya Sorrow. Taking a look at some of their army here, I believe we can utilize a similar strategy to what we used in the last battle. We may actually need to use some of our army though. I had to pause there for a second just because of the fact that our heroes are quite a bit damaged from the last battle, so I may need to micromanage them really well or try to take out their ogres one by one if I can help it, or separate their armies somehow. But let's see how this goes. Hopefully very minimal casualties or minimal damage to the majority of our army. If need be, I am willing to sacrifice some of the miners to take Valaya Shadow. If we lose 2 units of miners, that does free up some of the upkeep for us. But let's see how this goes. A very similar strategy that we'll be using in the battle for Valaya Shadow. Having our heroes up at the front, taking most of the damage, but also because they took damage in the previous battle, I may need to start using my miners and some of my other frontline infantry too. Dramor causing a bait and also drawing in some ogre bulls, sending in Throny and Halkenhaf to back him up and to take the brunt of the damage there. Bunch of Noblars closing in on the center, most of their strength coming from their left and right flanks with ogre bulls, which we will meet with dwarf warriors and our heroes too. We may be sending in Belegar and also King Lun to duel with their leader too. Rangers opening fire there and launching attacks on the ogre bulls on the right flank. Dwarf warriors taking a massive charge and beating from the incoming ogres there too. This is probably going to be one of those battles, unfortunately, where we'll need to send in our Hammerers and also our Dwarf Warriors too to back them up. Hammerers probably going to do a lot of damage against the Ogre Bulls considering their massive amount of armor. But for now, we're going to keep them in reserve to protect our Rangers. One unit of Ogre Bulls falling. Only a matter of time before this one does. And King Lund taking out their garrison leader here. Unfortunately, I forgot to micromanage Belegar. I will be sending him in to duel later on. Ogres also having a massive rout after being overwhelmed by numbers, with our Dwarf Warriors supported by the Dwarf Hammers here. Units are spread out at the moment right now, but we are sending them in retreat. Second group of ogres as well retreating. And also making a desperate last stand too. Belegar and King Lund being sent in to deal with the last remaining ogre threats. Rangers opening fire on them too to provide our warriors some extra support. And also Halkenhalf, plus also Draymar, all three of them holding their own against Ogre Bulls, Noblars, and also the incoming reinforcements of Thug and some other Ogre Bulls returning to battle. But the main focus here is to help and ensure our warrior survivability on this left flank here. Shattering that unit of ogres. Another unit of ogres falling behind too, but will soon be taken care of with our warriors and our hammerers here. Strength lies in numbers, friends. And that is what we're going to use to defeat the ogres here. Massive charge by the hammerers. And another decisive victory for Clan Angron. Definitely worth looking at the shots here. Noblars routing. And ogres in full retreat from both our heroes and our rangers. Well done indeed. With that, it's a resounding overall victory for us. Only a couple of losses to our dwarf warriors. Not much at all for the miners either. A little bit of a beating for our heroes, but we've taken the settlement. And now we have the option to confederate with Karak, which we will definitely do. But at the same time, it does mean we have minus upkeep because of their army, which we will need to unfortunately disband.
Revenge incarnate.
And we'll use the opportunity to sell these settlements too. I decided to give Karak Ankazar and also Karak Guntuk to other dwarf tribes of Barakvar and also Bugman's Brewery. Very useful and potential allies. And I do plan on selling Karak itself once I've gotten 600 gold back from demolishing the sparring chamber there. By selling those cities, we do gain a massive influx of cash with 19,000 gold to spare. Basically 20,000 if we round up to. It's also very tempting for me to sell Karak to one of the Tomb King modded factions here from the Old World mod. Legion of Setep is willing to give us the max amount for Karak here. 7,000 even across. But I am feeling a little bit greedy because I do want that influx of 600 for our income too. And we're pretty much in the positives there. Good confederation with another dwarf clan. Had to unfortunately disband the army there. And the reason I'm giving up Karak and vast amounts of territory is because, yes, like I said, I do need the cash. And also, we'll be pouring a lot of our resources into upgrading Belegar's army himself. Plus also, it's a little bit too much of a divided empire for me with Karak all the way up in the north. And also 8 peaks in the south. But in the next episode, I do plan on moving Belegar closer to Karak 8 Peaks. I don't want to bother too much with Black Crag here. They may declare war on us in the next few turns, but we need to reach 8 Peaks as fast as possible. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on my decisions, either for battle or campaign-wise, what you would do differently, or also any suggestions or tips moving forward in this campaign. I am very much open to constructive criticism and also with backseat gaming too. No worries there at all. And also, if you're fans of talking shop about Warhammer, D&D lore, or Elder Scrolls lore, which we will do in future videos, I'd love to have you consider hitting that like, subscribe, and bell icon notifications, and I'll save you a seat at the table for the next adventure. Farewell, friends, and take care.